gremlins! There are a lot more of you now. I'm glad so many people liked my last video. I'm currently planning ahead since I will be offline for an unknown number of days, making videos in advance. Today's video is going to be about another aesthetic, and the wheel picker has chosen mermaid. Mermaid, which I'll be referring to as mermaidcore to avoid confusion when talking about both the aesthetic and the mythical creature, is an aesthetic surrounding mermaids, the sea, and fantasy. Mermaids are a half-human, half-fish being in mythology and pop culture. In mythology, variations of a human-like being who lives underwater appear in a lot of cultures. They are often darker and more dangerous than their modern pop culture counterparts. Often they are associated with storms and with drowning sailors. Sirens, which in mythology are half birdwomen, but who have been reinterpreted as mermaid-like beings, lure sailors to their death on sharp rocks with their song. However, some versions of mythological mermaids are more benign, falling in love with humans or giving them gifts. In pop culture, mermaids feature more often than their male counterpart, mermen. They often appear in children's media, such as The Little Mermaid and various Barbie movies. Before I go more in depth about the mermaidcore aesthetic, I want to mention why I'm starting this speed draw with a sketch already complete. This is actually the second time I've drawn this character. The first time, I'd finished the line art and was minutes away from finishing the coloring when my computer died. The drawing was fine, I'd been saving it regularly. However, the recording process was less fine. Since I didn't manually stop the screen recording, it failed and saved none of the 2+ hours. I've never had my computer die like that when trying to screen record. Usually, I only ever use my drawing tablet when my computer is plugged in charging, since my tablet drains so much battery power. I had my computer charging for most of the process, until the last half hour, when I could no longer use the electricity. I should have paused my drawing then, or paused my drawing when I got a low battery warning, but I was so close to finishing the coloring and was stubborn. Anyway, since I lost all the video process, I didn't want to make a video just with the shading and final touches, so I started over. I kept my sketch because I was really happy with the character concept and didn't want to completely start from scratch, but I redid all the line art and coloring on a new file. Hopefully taking 2 extra hours to get back to where I lost my progress will help me remember not to make the same mistake again. Enough of the woes of trying to get this drawing complete. Back to mermaidcore. The color scheme of mermaidcore includes a lot of shimmery pastels and shades of ocean colors like blue and green. A lot of fabrics, jewelry, and visuals are very shiny, iridescent, or sparkly, like fish scales or the ocean. A lot of mermaidcore visuals focus on the mermaid itself, especially its tail. Some mermaid tails are based on the patterns and shapes of specific fish or marine species. Others are just shimmery and colorful. Some other visuals include fish scales, seashells, pearls, coral, waves, bubbles, and underwater photographs. Jewelry or items made with shells and pearls also feature, such as pearl-encrusted combs or mirrors, and strings of pearl jewelry. Normally in these videos I stick pretty closely to what is written in the Aesthetic Wiki for the aesthetics I cover, but I found the mermaidcore fashion section of the Aesthetic Wiki lacking, especially when compared to mermaidcore outfit mood boards in Pinterest. The Aesthetic Wiki focuses entirely on clothing with mermaid motifs, which were popular in 2016 alongside unicorn visuals. The wiki lists scale-patterned leggings, tops that look like seashells, and headdresses with shells, pearls, and crystals. My own interpretation of mermaidcore fashion, based on what I've seen on Pinterest and collected on a Pinterest mood board you can find linked in the description, is quite different. The aesthetic is filled with long flowy skirts and tops with wide trailing sleeves. Tank tops, halter tops, and other beachwear type tops are also found a lot in outfit mood boards. Fabric is usually shiny, gauzy, sheer, or patterned with subtle ocean patterns. There are also a lot of accessories: long strings of pearls and seashell jewelry, starfish and shell hair clips, waist beads, and chain belts with more seashell and sea creature motifs. Clothing is often blue, but pale shimmery purple and pink like pearls also appear, as well as turquoise, white, light grey, and blue-green. People might wear sandals or go barefoot, especially when wandering around the beach. There are 2 main options for mermaidcore makeup, one based on the description in the Aesthetic Wiki, and one based on the Pinterest fashion and my own interpretations. The Aesthetic Wiki describes a bold makeup look with fish scale pattern on the cheeks, as well as bold glittery blue and green eyeshadow. The method of achieving fish scales on your face sounds simple, although I haven't tried it myself to verify it. Pull a pair of tightly woven fishnet socks over your head, then gently brush blue eyeshadow over the mesh pattern. Removing the stocking should leave negative space of skin through the eyeshadow, making a scale-like pattern. The makeup look can be finished with the application of glitter, faux pearls, or sequins around the eyes. For a simpler and more beach-proof makeup look, the goal should be to look slightly iridescent to match shimmery clothing. Stick with shimmery, sea-colored eyeshadow and some lip gloss and highlighter. I definitely stuck more with the Pinterest mood board fashion for this character over the wiki fashion. I gave this character a flowing maxi skirt and slightly cropped halter top with a subtle scale pattern. Most of the time I spent on this image was focused on this character's jewelry. She has many pearls on, which took a while to draw. 2 strands of pale pink pearls are fashioned to her long black braids with a starfish hair clip. She has matching starfish on her sandals. Around her hips, she has a 2-stranded chain belt, strung with blue pearls. Seashells dangle from the chains as well. She's holding a conch shell in one hand, her other arm dangling by her side where I can avoid drawing a second hand. All this character's sea-themed jewelry is very pastel. The starfish are pale orange, the seashells are various shades of cream, light brown, pale pink, and pale purple. The jewelry isn't very visible as I work against a plain white background, but later in the drawing the character has dark skin, dark hair, and a dark skirt, against which those pale shells stand out. Her halter top is turquoise, and I used a scale brush to give it a subtle fish scale pattern. Her skirt is dark blue, and her sandals are nearly white. I made this character's skin dark brown, and her makeup is bright and bold. I gave her the fish scale makeup pattern I described earlier on her cheekbone. Pearls are glued over her brow and under her eye, and she has bold blue eyeliner and silvery blue glitter on her eyelids, cheeks, forehead, and shoulders. I placed this character on the beach. I've never been great at drawing sea foam, but I tried a new method in this drawing, using several watercolor brushes in pale blue and white where the waves meet the beach. I think it worked really well. The sand is pale and textured with my usual pastel texture brush. Right near the sea foam, the sand is slightly darker where it's freshly damp. Scattered along the beach, there are multiple dark grey, rounded stones, and a few shells that match the shells on this character's jewelry. Ocean waves are another thing I'm not great at drawing, but I found a method that works pretty well. I use a brush meant for drawing rain, but turn it sideways to make the sparkle on calm ocean water. The sky is overcast, with small sections of blue sky peeking in behind fluffy grey clouds. I also drew patches of shadow on the surface of the ocean, where the clouds are blocking out the sun. The Aesthetic Wiki didn't list any mermaidcore activities, but I've come up with a few of my own that seem to fit into this aesthetic. Beach walking and hunting for seashells are an easy and obvious one, as well as singing, especially shanties or sea-related songs, since merfolk are often associated with music in mythology and media. Also, doing a photo shoot, on the beach or in calm water, dressed either as a mermaid or just in mermaidcore clothing and jewelry. Another activity that is perhaps a little more difficult to do in mermaidcore fashion is swimming. To be a bit more mermaidy while swimming, you could give swimming with a faux mermaid tail a go, although I imagine this could be quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, so be careful. Finally, read about mermaid-related mythology and fairy tales, and watch more modern mermaid media. There's a lot of mermaid media out there, popular examples including The Little Mermaid, both the Disney versions and the original much darker fairy tale, and the show H2O Just Add Water. I'm also going to shout out my personal favourite piece of mermaid-related media, an ongoing webcomic posted on Webtoon called Castle Swimmer, which I've linked in the description. In this story, there are different cultures among merfolk inspired by different species of marine life. There's also representation of queer and disabled people, complicated family relationships, and trauma. Parts of the story do delve into mental health and could be triggering, but the story is really good and I've cried multiple times when reading it. I shaded the character at last. Adding a white highlight to every pearl took the longest, and is also barely visible, but I'm still glad I put in the effort. The rest of the shading is pretty basic. Right near the end of the shading, when I thought I was done with this drawing, I remembered that I wanted the skirt to look like it's made of satin, since shimmery and iridescent fabrics are such a big part of mermaidcore fashion. I've never drawn satin before, and I looked up a few step-by-step examples online. It seems satin has very bright highlights and very dark shadows, making each fold extremely high contrast. I did my best to capture this effect, and I think it worked, although I'll probably practice more in the future to really figure out my method. My final step was adding some sunlight highlighting this character's face, and adding patterns to the conch shell in her hand. Mermaidcore isn't my personal style. I prefer foresty greens to shimmery blues, but I think it is a gorgeous aesthetic. I love to collect seashells, but never know what to do with them, since I don't wear shell jewelry. I love the beach and have been described as a water nymph by family due to my attempt to go in every safe body of water I can, including during Australian winter in the Pacific Ocean. However, I dress like a forest creature and own one item of blue clothing, a pair of overalls on which I embroidered green moss. All that to say, mermaidcore is a great aesthetic visually, and I like the look of the Pinterest fashion even if I wouldn't wear it. I also really enjoyed working on this drawing, and this is the first aesthetic for which I've made an edited thumbnail. I hope you also enjoyed this drawing and learning about this fantastical aesthetic. The finished mermaidcore art is now available on my Etsy store if you want to buy a high-quality digital copy of your own to print or to use as a wallpaper. Until next time, bye!